Republic.
Hi there, welcome to this Saturday edition of This Is Exclusive, in which we are going to take you right there to the war zone in Iran and Israel with some ground reports showing to you what's the scale of destruction happening on both the sides. That's our focus, as also a comment made by Union Home Minister Amit Shah, according to which India is never ever going back to the Indus Waters Treaty. All that and more. Let's begin with the headlines. Another day, another flight. Chennai-bound Indigo flight emergency lands in Bengaluru after Mayday call over critically low fuel. DGCA issues show cause notice to Air India over multiple violations, calls for immediate removal of their rostering team members. Israel eliminates Iranian Quds Force commander Bainam Shahriari, responsible for supplying arms to Iranian-backed terrorist group including Hezbollah. As tension in the Middle East soars, Iran issues fresh warning to Trump government, says any involvement of US military would be dangerous. And Republic TV is the only channel to bring exclusive ground reports from the conflict zone, Israel. Welcome again, friends. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has announced that India will never restore the Indus Waters Treaty with Pakistan, saying that the water previously flowing to Pakistan will be diverted to Rajasthan via a new canal project, leaving Pakistan starved of its share. Shah justified the decision by citing Pakistan's alleged violations of the treaty's preamble, which promised peace and progress, stating that India lawfully placed the 1960 treaty in abeyance following the April 22 Pahalgam terror attack. That's none other than Union Home Minister Amit Shah speaking, completely ruling out any possibility of going back to the Indus Waters Treaty. And that's a big one. That's a statement of intent. That's a statement of resolve. And it clearly shows how focused the government of India is, which means, is the government working to a plan? That's going to be our focus. Let's have a guest, Madhav Nalapat. All right, Professor Madhav Nalapat joins us to help us understand what this really means. Professor Nalapat, India has put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance, but now Union Home Minister says we are never going back to it, which means there is a plan. The government is clear in its intent and resolve that we are not going to be taking it to business as usual so far as Indus Waters Treaty is concerned. Help us understand what this means.
Look, the fact of the matter is the 1960 treaty between India and Pakistan was the most unfair treaty ever involving an upper riparian state and a lower riparian state. The concessions given by India have been more than the concessions given by any upper riparian state in all the water treaties that have been concluded by upper riparian states with lower riparian states so far. It was basically signed as a consequence of pressure from the World Bank. At that point in time, in the 1960s, World Bank, 1960 actually, I believe it was signed. The fact is that the World Bank was very pro-Pakistan. Of course, and why? Because India was seen as quote-unquote non-aligned and leaning towards the USSR, whereas Pakistan was very firmly in the US camp, SEATO, CENTO, all these organizations that joined. So the reality is that that pressure was one-sided pressure on India. And basically what is the pressure? Succumb to all of Pakistan's desires. All of Pakistan's wishes should be fulfilled. And that's what happened. That's why the Home Minister Shah is absolutely correct, and I warmly and strongly welcome his stand about the Indus Water Treaty. The fact of the matter is, Abhishek, I'm asking you. You've followed events for a long time.
Yes.
For enough time. Has Pakistan lived up to its promise in 1960 of abandoning the path of terror? It had doubled and doubled and doubled again, as the Home Minister who's in
Obviously.
charge of the Home Ministry knows. So I can tell you very clearly, it's absolutely justified on the part of
Obviously,
India.
Professor Nalapat, we have absolutely analyzed in quite some detail, and you have been on a couple of shows with us as to why India should be reviewing, even before the Pahalgam terror attack, why India should be reviewing the Indus Waters Treaty. But Professor Nalapat, what I found interesting in this time, in the statement of the Union Home Minister, is that there is an intent backed with a plan, because he's saying we will divert this water to canals and right up to Rajasthan, which means the government has already formed a action plan.
Well, quite naturally, the government has formed an action plan, and I think it's very welcome. The fact is, Rajasthan has been starved of water that would legitimately have gone to it right from 1960 onwards. Countless farmers have suffered. A countless number of crops have been harmed as a consequence of this horrible treaty. And let's be honest, it is only Pakistan thereafter regarded India as even more of a soft state than it first thought. And that impression was behind all these terror attacks. So Abhishek, quite frankly, I applaud the Union Home Minister for stating on behalf of the Modi government that during Modi 3.0, the Indus Water Treaty is being scrapped and will never be revived. I applaud that. It is very pro-India, it's very pro-farmer, and Rajasthan needs that water. It should have got it in 1960, at least now it is getting it in 2025. I am really very happy about this, Abhishek.
Right, absolutely. And hopefully, by the time that the third term of the Modi government comes to its end, we would have already seen execution of some projects to make Indus Waters Treaties abeyance with Pakistan a reality on the ground. Thank you so much, Professor Nalapat, for those details and perspective. Moving on to our story under focus, which is about the hot zone, the Iran-Israel war zone in the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing to you the pulse of a world on fire. It's day 9 of the Israel-Iran conflict, and West Asia teeters on the brink of an all-out war, with the possibility of the United States joining in. Iranian missiles raining down on Tel Aviv, striking homes and a childcare center, while Israel vows total retribution, flattening missile launchers and eliminating key terror chiefs like IRGC's Benham Shahriari and Hamas-linked Saeed Izadi. With nuclear talks collapsing, civilians caught in the crossfire and no ceasefire in sight, we take you straight to the latest from the war zone. Take a look.
Here is the downtown of Tel Aviv area, one of the main business centers of Israel.
Two nations, one war, no restraint.
Those offices, skyscrapers, were the target of the Iranian missile, and also the residential buildings here, some of them completely destroyed.
Civilians caught in the crossfire. Iran bleeds. 400 killed, thousands injured. Israel's defense holds, but not enough. Tel Aviv counts its dead. Endgame? None. Only rising fury. As nuclear talks collapse, missiles speak. Republic TV, the only voice in the war zone. Tel Aviv Iranian missiles have hit homes.
Those buildings maybe can collapse, and those buildings are not military targets whatsoever. You can understand that here it's a residential area. People are living here, and all of them were targets because The shock wave just of one ballistic missile is for hundreds of meters of radius.
Israel takes out top IRGC commander Behnam Shahriari. He armed proxies, funded terrorists, and now he's gone. Another pillar of Iran-Hamas axis eliminated. Saeed Azadi, key to October 7th massacre, neutralized. The mastermind of Iran's terror web is no more. Iran says Israel hit Isfahan nuclear site. Now Tehran is crying foul, files complaint against IAEA chief accusing him of bias and violation of neutrality. Khamenei rages and threatens brutal retaliation. Iran says no talks unless Israel backs off, but keeps channels open with US. West Asia burns with no ceasefire and no peace in sight.
As the Israeli-Iran war barrels into its ninth day, central Israel lies wounded, its civilian heartlands devastated by a barrage of Iranian missiles that have shattered homes, a childcare center, and the lives of countless innocents. Let's take a look at a ground report filed by our reporter Nick.
I'm now in the center of Tel Aviv, minutes walk from the sea, one of the most touristic places in Israel. There are a lot of houses here where tourists and young people used to live, but now it is empty, the site is closed, all the neighborhood is forbidden, nobody can come inside because Iranian ballistic missile hit here, and from the shock wave of this missile, all the neighborhood was completely destroyed. As you can see around me, everything is destroyed. See the huge impact of just one missile. Buildings are completely ripped off, they are devastated, and also animals were part of the victims. You can see one of them is Tony, this cute, lovely cat, and he is missing. The owners asking to call them any hour if you can find their loved Tony the cat. To Natalie or Daniel, you can call any hour. And this is just one victim. The victims are not just people, it is also animals. And see how dangerous those rockets of Iran. See how much damage they are doing all around. They are just destroying anything in their way. And I can now walk for hundreds of meters and show you more damage that caused just this one rocket. You can see here it's a parking lot. Under that there is a construction of a metro station. That's why all of this site can collapse. And this is a colossal, huge blast that destroyed so much. See here, also this building is evacuated. All the neighborhood is evacuated actually. I need to go here in order to continue to walk because it's dangerous to be inside. Okay, so here you can see also another building that was almost destroyed from this blast. You can see here right now how huge this missile, this from one missile. You see all of this building can collapse any moment because the impact of the rocket was so huge, and inside was the consulate of the United States, at least used to be, and also some of the offices of the embassy of the United States, and probably it was the target, and now it could be a cause for the United States to join the fight against Iran. This building could any moment collapse, and it's not safe to be here. And also I can show you the street next to the sea, which used to be one of the popular streets among Israelis and tourists, and now you see all of the stores are closed because the buildings would be soon destroyed. It's not safe to be here anymore. You see, it was destroyed by the ballistic missile. The shock wave was so huge that it impacted all the area. Everything here now can't be safe anymore. It can collapse any moment because the wave of the shock that came after the blast is huge. And now the authorities of Israel trying to understand and assess how extensive the damage, because they will compensate the owners of the shops. And this is the impact just of one rocket. And if we will continue to go on the street, you will still see that even here the shops are impacted by the shock wave. You see here everything was destroyed. We are now hundreds of meters from the actual place where and you see the people still strong. You see how devastated was this impact of one rocket. Everything is destroyed. And I'm walking already hundreds of meters from the parking lot where the rocket hit the ground, and still you can see here the shock waves came all the way. All of this road, this street was impacted by this rocket. You can see here still places impacted, all of them from the shock wave. See how huge the impact. All of this is a residential area, one of the main shopping streets of Israel in the center of Tel Aviv. And all the places are devastated all around. And this is the impact, just reminding you of one rocket. And if I now will continue to walk for another minute, I will show you that the impact even came to the embassy of Tel Aviv, of the United States of America in Tel Aviv. Here also the shop was destroyed, and I continue to walk and I will show you that the embassy of Tel Aviv, hundreds of meters away, the American embassy in Israel, which is located in Tel Aviv, also was hit by the shock wave of this rocket. We are walking for many minutes now, and still you can see the impact on the streets. Still you can see that some of the places were impacted by this shock wave. And it just shows you that Iran doesn't really targeting military bases or some strategic assets of Israel. Instead, they are targeting regular citizens, residential areas. You can see all my walk is through regular buildings. It is just a place where regular people are living, mostly young people, a lot of tourists. There are nothing here that has something to do with military targets whatsoever. It is a very touristic place, and now I'm next to the embassy of the United States, and you can see that even here is the embassy. You can see behind me the embassy, and in front of that you can see the damage. Here are people that are coming to the embassy, doing their passports, leaving their stuff, and you see the destruction inside. You can see the destruction here, and it is next to the embassy of the United States that probably was the target of the Iranian missile. You can see in front of the embassy, everything here is destroyed. You can see the huge impact of blast hundreds of meters from here. Just understand how huge the blast was and how big the rocket was, that all of this here destroyed hundreds of meters from here. And I can't show too much of the embassy, the security asks me, but it is here. The embassy is here, and here you can see the damage. The damage is huge. You can see just in front of the United States Embassy how the impact was huge. You can see here people that are coming to the embassy, they are leaving their stuff here, they are doing the passport photos here, and now it is destroyed. And this was the impact just of one Iranian rocket that probably targeted the embassy of the United States. Nikol Yochin, Tel Aviv, Israel. Nikol Yochin, Tel Aviv, Israel.
All right, from Tel Aviv, Nick traveled for us to the Beersheba town of South Israel, where Iran had hit just a day ago. It was on 19th of June. In the evening, Iran's ballistic missile barrage struck the heart of Beersheba, devastating Soroka Medical Center. And this was southern Israel's lifeline for over 1 million people that was targeted and hit by Iran. And now Nick brings you a ground report from Beersheba Hospital, Soroka Medical Center.
This is one of the targets of the Iranian missiles. You can see one of the main hospitals of Israel, Soroka, in the southern city of Beersheba, and it is completely devastated. On the roof of this building was the hit of the Iranian ballistic missile, and you can see how much of a devastation here inside just from one missile, and the place is completely destroyed. You can see that Iran deliberately were targeting a place where people are being treated, patients. They are targeting patients. How evil you should be to target hospitals. And just because the hospital hours before evacuated this place, there were no casualties here. Otherwise, just imagine how many people could die here inside this place. Just imagine, this is the place where hundreds of people were eating every day here in the hospital. And this place was the target of the Iranian missile. All of this building with thousands of patients. And it is completely destroyed. This is the result of Iranian missile attack. Nikol Yochin, Beersheba, Israel.
All right, one more report from the war zone. The latest following the drone strike on a two-story building in the northern Israel. MDA teams reported that following searches, no casualties were located, but fresh pictures that have just come in into our newsrooms put into perspective the extent of destruction, including in one case a man pulling out his child from the rubble. Take a look. These are the pictures from northern part of Israel now, and there is a picture of a local resident sharing his story. Not those pictures of the moment, but sharing his story of pulling out his son out of the rubble. And there are reporters interviewing this person. Let's have a look. All right, these are just pictures we have as of now, but we'll come back to this report as we have more. Moving on, in fact, there is another breaking news development back home, which is that the civil aviation tragedies continue. One came close to a crisis just a couple of hours back. An Indigo flight from Guwahati to Chennai with 168 passengers on board made an emergency landing in Bengaluru's Kempegowda International Airport after the captain gave a mayday call. A distress call via radio communication to the air traffic control citing insufficient fuel in the plane. The plane, however, landed safely. Now that's something which could have potentially turned dangerous. Low fuel on a Guwahati-Chennai flight, making the Indigo plane land in Bengaluru, make an emergency landing in Bengaluru after a Mayday call. Now, Mayday call is the highest level of emergency and crisis which a pilot resorts to, which means the situation could have turned dangerous. We'll sure bring more details to you on this as soon as we get it. This is the latest development in the ongoing crisis that our civil aviation sector is facing. For now, we have come to an end of this broadcast. Short break. On the other side, news is back.